The news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
A lot to get to this morning, including the international eyes on Utica this morning for the beginning of the Women's Hockey Championships, but also some news overnight that we want to get to. But first, let's get a check of the forecast. Windy, when you and I pulled in the lot right after each other, and it was really windy.
Yes.
And that's going to be the theme, I guess, for a while.
Yeah, Valley was windy. I was driving along 790 along the I-90 corridor, and it was very windy. I was facing the winds, and we're talking about 20 miles per hour sustained winds, wind gusts as high as 50 miles per hour today. So it's going to be a windy day on top of the rain. This is a strong storm system, which initially is not going to bring snow. It's just going to bring some rain. In fact, look at those current conditions out there right now. Winds, you can see pretty obviously are strong. 20 mile per hour measured wind, not including wind gusts at Rome, 14 mile per hour sustained wind in Hamilton, and conditions in the low 40s, but rain will slowly move in. And this time, it won't be nearly as light as yesterday. We're talking moderate, sustained rainfall for most of the day today on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. This is a strong storm system which will be impacting our area with rain and wind today. Then tonight, as a coastal low forms off the energy from the system, things will cool down and rain will inevitably turn over to a wintry mix with sleet and eventually snow. But for the next 12 hours, at least from now until 6 p.m., we're talking about mainly rain in the valley. We're talking about when that changeover occurs in locations, first in hilltops, then in the valleys. As we head into the overnight hours, talk all about that in detail straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. New this morning, powerful.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back. The time now is 5:12, and of course it's time for your Munson Commutecast as we take a look at road conditions both heading to work today and heading home. First off, we'll look at those drive times all along the area. First along I-90 from Verona to Utica and Little Falls to Utica. Average speed around 65 or so miles per hour. Smooth sailing, same thing for the arterial. Average speed between 50 and 55 miles per hour. 5S, east and west, 16 to 17 minute drive time. And if you're heading to Rome or Utica and back on 49, average speed around 60 to 66 miles per hour. Finally, in Otsego County, Cooperstown to I-90 and back, average drive time over 30 or so minutes, 33 minutes officially, heading north and southbound. And then finally, heading north from Utica to Remsen and back, average time currently sitting at 17 minutes. Heading to work today, if you drive a high-profile vehicle, this might be a bit challenging, at least heading to work today, where we're talking about strong winds with just some moderate rainfall. This evening, still the winds remain pretty strong, gusting as high as 50 miles per hour, and then the wintry mix develop primarily in hilltops. So again, higher elevations will see this impact first, and then overnight, we'll start to see that snow and wintry mix down into the lower elevations. We'll talk about this a lot more in detail in that full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. The Center for Family Life and Recovery held its...
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Today is starting out a bit on the dry side in areas north of I-90, but those winds are definitely noticeable. Alive like an Oneonta, the rain is already falling in parts of the southern valleys, and this will be a common sight today. Widespread, steady rainfall and strong winds. Live look at the radar. Here's where that rain is taking place at this point. The yellows indicating moderate and heavy rainfall. Well, the light green areas indicating just some light rain. You can see exactly where that's taking place. And zooming out a little bit, this is part of a massive low pressure system that is producing a lot of snow on the backside, and this itself, this low pressure, won't be hitting us directly. As a matter of fact, it's going to transfer its energy to a coastal low later on today. You can start to see some of it starting to form down here. Like, see that surge of moisture, all that rain is going to start arriving here in central New York over the next 12 or so hours. And regarding travel impacts, today and this afternoon, rain and wind, the main story. Again, if you drive a high-profile vehicle, that will be the main concern for that, is the winds will be knocking your car or vehicle around back and forth. This evening is when things get a little bit on the tricky side for travel as hilltop snow and wintry mix starts to develop. And then overnight is our best chance of seeing tricky travel across a lot of the area as cold air continues to move in, and we'll start to see a lot more widespread wet snow across central New York. Temperatures falling a degree or two today. It's still going to be hovering in the upper 30s to low 40s. But again, the main focus today is going to be those winds. Take a look at how strong these winds are. This is just sustained winds of 20 to 25 miles per hour, some locations even higher. And the wind gusts will be as high as, in some spots, 50 or so miles per hour. So heads up with the blustery and windy conditions today. Now, regarding our Skycast, the rain continues to move in. You can see around 12 p.m. Hilltops maybe starting to see a freezing rain mixture, but most of the lowest elevations, most of central New York, will still be on the warm side of this system. Then heading into tonight, around 5 p.m., still looking windy, still looking rainy. Then, as your overnight hours, the rain eventually turns over to sleet and eventually some snow before wraparound snow weakens as we head into Thursday afternoon. No changes to our snowfall forecast. We're still sticking to this 1 to 3 in the lowest elevations that do see snow, and the highest totals expected in the Adirondack region in Hamilton and Herkimer County. Over the next 12 hours, rain showers, temperatures upper 30s, low 40s. Then tonight, you can see that changeover from rain to a wintry mix and snow showers right around midnight or so, lingering into the overnight. And then by your 7-day forecast, lingering light flurries and light drizzle heading into Friday, and Saturday still looking unsettled. We're monitoring the clouds on Monday because we mentioned it's been sunny. There's another system approaching on Tuesday that could bring additional cloud cover. It's still looking to be thin. It won't be blocking out the sun too much, but it's something to monitor as we get closer to the eclipse.
Right, and depending, excuse me, how quickly the fronts move or stall or whatnot. And again, tricky stuff tonight going into tomorrow as far as travel is concerned. You would
Yes, so that's the main concern is tonight, mainly in the lower elevations around midnight to 6 a.m. That's the main time.
That's what I was going to ask you because, you know, again, we've got a few thousand people coming into downtown for the Team USA game tonight. So, but the game will probably be over by 9:30, 10 o'clock, give or take. So
yeah, and I'm thinking the lowest elevation, especially Utica, will still be on the rain side by the time it's 9 or so p.m.
Excellent. That'll be good news. Hopefully we can get that there, see how fast everything goes. Thanks a lot, Eric. Well, Notre Dame's National Junior ROTC.
The news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us this half hour. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And you saw from that tower cam shot, the wind is whipping out there. Some strong gusts today, and that's going to be pretty much the story for most of the day. Yeah, and I would say the gusts are strong enough to where you open your car door or you try to shut it, and Mother Nature's... You're going to have some resistance. Yeah, it has resistance with that. That's how strong the winds are, between 20 or so miles per hour in the Mohawk Valley, gusting as high as 50 miles per hour today. It's going to be a very windy day. On top of that, we're talking about sustained rainfall throughout the morning, afternoon, and evening. Let's take a look at where the winds are right now, though. As Steve mentioned, it's still blustery out there, 20 mile per hour, just sustained wind in Rome. This is not factoring in those wind gusts. I'll mention the wind gusts in just a few minutes, but you can see here temperatures in the 40s, rain showers slowly moving in just south of Rome, currently in Hamilton at this point. And the live look at the radar, here comes that widespread rainfall. This is surging in from both a strong low pressure to the west and a developing nor'easter to the east, which will cause that changeover from rain to snow as we head into the overnight hours tonight. We can see here, next 12 hours, mainly rain showers, windy conditions. If you drive a high-profile vehicle today, you could be having issues on those roads, but beyond that, just some steady rainfall, maybe ponding on roadways. Following this evening and tonight, that's when that changeover from rain goes to wintry mix and snow. That could cause impacts primarily on hilltops initially, then over to the lowest elevations. We'll talk all about that in detail on the timeline straight ahead. Steve? All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. Well, new this morning.
Welcome back. Time now is 5:40 a.m. and of course it's time to showcase our weather photo of the day today. And this one, pretty self-explanatory. A beautiful sunrise taken at Leland Pond down in Madison County. In fact, we had a lot of submissions yesterday after that sunrise, which is absolutely gorgeous. The weird thing though is we had all that sun, or the colors I should say, rising almost really far north into the northern sky. That's because we had all those clouds to the south and the clearing was to the north. Otherwise, the sunrise colors would have looked more in the southeast direction. But regardless, a beautiful shot right here. If you want to submit a photo like a sunrise like this one, a nature photo, any weather photo that you think would be qualified to be here at News Channel 2 at sunrise, send to the link on top of your screen, WKTV.com/weather/pics. Temperatures feeling less April-like in the 30s and 40s early this morning and not really changing too much, while the winds still remain a bit on the blustery side. And those temperatures, although cool today, tomorrow and Friday, will rebound back into the 50s, near 60 by Sunday and Monday of next week. Steve?
Eric, thanks. The countdown continues to the solar eclipse.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. It's windy out there, and the rain is slowly arriving on our doorstep in the valley, while it's remaining pretty widespread in areas south. A live look at downtown Utica. Rain is collecting on our camera on the Nexus Center. And overall, you can see overcast skies, wet roads. This will be a common sight today, along with, again, those windy conditions. Radar showing widespread rainfall right from the south. This will produce moderate to heavier rainfall rates in those yellow areas currently in parts of Oneonta and Norwich, just south of Hamilton and south of Edmiston at this point. You can see here coming a lot more widespread. This is part of a much larger system producing a lot of snow on the backside of this over in Wisconsin, parts of Illinois. Bit of a dry slot here in the middle, but this is going to surge in a lot of rain before this low transfers energy to the coast and causes those temperatures to fall, bringing in that colder air from the north and that Atlantic moisture. But regarding travel impacts today and tonight, this morning and this afternoon, we got rain and wind. This will only be a concern if you drive a high-profile vehicle that's influenced by strong wind gusts on the roads. Then by this evening, hilltop snow begins to mix in, especially in those higher elevations in Otsego and Herkimer County. Then overnight tonight is when that cold air mixes in over most of central New York, and we start to see a wet snow sleet mixture. Overall, a pretty clumpy type of snow moving into our local area. Not a whole lot accumulating in the lowest elevations, but enough to possibly cause slick spots early Thursday morning. Temperatures only hovering a few degrees in the upper 30s to low 40s, but the main story this morning and this afternoon is going to be that wind. Wind speeds sustained between 20 to 25 miles per hour, some locations a little bit more, and those wind gusts even stronger, as high as 50 or so miles per hour. But the winds become a lot less strong as we approach the overnight hours heading into Thursday morning. But on our Skycast, we can see here that widespread rain moving into our area, still remaining as rain for this afternoon and this early evening. But watch between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. That's when that easterly wind bringing in those the higher elevated moisture from the Atlantic and that strong wind aloft from the north, cooling things down around 9, 10 p.m., enough for a sleety mixture to fall in parts of the lowest elevations. And the highest impact to travel will be overnight into early Thursday morning. We can see here by the afternoon Thursday, things wind down, snow becomes a lot less heavy, and of course, so do the winds. No real changes to our snowfall forecast. We're still thinking this is largely an elevation-based event with 1 to 3 inches in the lowest elevations and 6 inches or more in the hilltops north of the Mohawk Valley in the Adirondack region. Next 12 hours, rain showers. Temperatures upper 30s, low 40s tonight. Lows falling only a few degrees into the low 30s with rain switching over to a sleet wintry mix. 7-day forecast, 30s next few days. Warming up though into the upper 50s by this coming weekend, Sunday and Monday. Hopefully, of course, good weather for the eclipse, but a reminder though tonight that we could be seeing some tricky travel into the early morning tomorrow.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. And some schools are off this week, so but others are not. So we'll have to see how that.
How about that for a spring break? We're here to more winter-like weather with snow.
That's going to happen in early April. All right, thanks a lot, Eric. Well, a group in Ohio has been allowed to
News with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And good Wednesday morning to you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
A lot to get to this morning, including day one of the International Women's Hockey Championships right here in our own backyard. But we want to get a check of the forecast. I don't know if you can hear it in our microphones, but the wind is really whipping up here on Smith Hill, and that's going to be the story of the day.
Yes, wind and rain. And first off, this morning with the rain not quite arriving just yet, the winds are gusting to the point where it's affecting driving, where your car gets whipped back and forth. And look at those current wind speeds right now to give you an idea of how windy it is. We dropped a few miles per hour on the Roam sensor, but earlier on it was a 20 mile per hour plus sustained wind, currently at 17 miles per hour. But the wind gust today could be as high as 50 miles per hour, and that will impact some vehicles, especially high-profile vehicles like large SUVs, 18-wheelers, cargo trucks. Those sorts could be affected by this wind, especially if you're driving in the valley locations. Temperatures in the low 40s, rain showers becoming more widespread on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, and this will be a common sight today. Rain showers generally unsettled with windy conditions. And over the next 12 hours, still talking about winds, talking about rain, and temperatures maybe dropping a few degrees, but still remaining in the upper 30s to low 40s. Following today, heading into this evening, we're looking at a changeover from rain to a wintry mix in the hilltops initially, then over to more lower elevations during the overnight hours tonight. We're going to time it all out and talk about when most people will be seeing this wintry mix and eventually snow tonight straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. New this morning, a powerful
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back. The time now is 6:13. You saw the Cavity Tower camera shaking a little bit. The winds have been picking up. Wind speeds currently around 20 or so miles per hour. And of course, it's time for the Munson CommuteCast. And so far, the travel conditions look pretty okay this morning. There's still some steady rainfall. And of course, we're looking at the strong winds this morning. But those drive times looking pretty average, both along I-90 and the arterial. 5S and Route 49, everything looking normal as well. 16 minutes from Utica to Mohawk and back. Same thing for Route 49, currently 11-minute drive time. And then lastly, in Otsego County, if you're heading north or south from I-90 to Cooperstown along Route 28, right around a 30 or so minute drive time. And finally, heading north from Utica to Remsen and back, looking at an average drive time as well. Heading out this morning, still dealing with steady rainfall, maybe some ponding on roadways in those poor drainage areas. But again, a heads up for those of you who drive high-profile vehicles. There could be potential for some strong wind gusts on those roads. Same thing for this evening, although rain will become a little bit more widespread and a little bit heavier. We're tracking that, and then the potential for wintry mix to develop on those hilltops. We'll let you know exactly when that takes place in detail straight ahead. Steve?
All right, thanks a lot, Eric. The Center for Family Life and Recovery held its
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everyone. The time now is 6:19, and so far it's been a pretty unsettled morning in areas south, while the rain is slowly moving into the Mohawk Valley at this point. A live look at our Nexus camera looking at downtown Utica. You see the rain collecting on the cameras, roads a little wet, and to be honest, the wind, a bit of understatement on how windy it is out there in some spots right now. A live look at Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We can see that widespread rainfall arriving from the southwest. This time, it's not waiting till noon or compared to on Monday where the clouds gave way to sunshine. This rain is moving north and remaining in our area for the entire day today. Regarding with that, zooming out a little bit, you can see the bigger picture, which is that strong low pressure producing a backside snow out in parts of the northern peninsula, Wisconsin, and Michigan and the parts of Wisconsin out in areas west. Right now, we are getting that warm side, which is producing, again, primarily rain here locally. And for the entire daytime today, in the lower elevations, this won't really impact us too much, aside from those of you who have a high-profile vehicle that could cause some issues driving on those roadways with those strong wind gusts. This evening is when things get a little bit dicey, especially on those hilltops. That's when sleet and a wet snow mixes into the area. And then during the overnight hours, more cool air moves in. And that's when we're talking about wet snow mix for most of central New York, lingering into early Thursday morning. But those temperatures still hovering right around the upper 30s to low 40s. Winds being the primary story during the daytime today. Look at this. This is sustained winds of 20 to 25 miles per hour, some cases a little bit higher. And including that, too, we factor in those wind gusts, and it's even windier. Wind speeds or wind gusts as high as 50, 55 miles per hour in the lowest elevations. This is temporary, though. These strongest winds do eventually diminish by early Thursday morning. And so, to our skycast, you can see here widespread rain throughout the daytime today, lingering into this evening, perhaps a brief dry slot by the evening commute. Then you can see here, hilltops starting to see that freezing rain and sleet mix in just yet. And then as the sun begins to set, cool air mixes in, we'll start to see that changeover primarily in the higher elevations, then slowly working its way down into the valleys by early Thursday morning, producing sleet and a wet snow mixture that could cause tricky travel during the early morning Thursday. Following that, though, the snow does eventually diminish. And still no real changes to our snowfall forecast. Some locations will be lower, some locations higher. The highest chance of seeing notable snow will be in the Adirondack region and those high peaks areas in Hamilton and potentially Herkimer County. But for the next 12 hours, we're seeing nothing but rain showers, temperatures in the 30s. Tonight, we're cooling down into the low 30s with that changeover from rain to snow taking place. Your 7-day forecast, lingering light rain and snow Thursday afternoon and into parts of Friday and early Saturday. We do dry out briefly Sunday and Monday before our next weather system arrives on Tuesday. So talk about a close call of getting that dry weather for the eclipse. Fingers crossed it still holds. We're still right around a week or so away, so things can change. But the signal is there that we could be seeing dry weather for that.
All right, so should be able to see that. And again, in the more immediate concern, you have some stuff that might change over tonight, so watch out for that morning commute depending on where you're going or if folks are leaving the game tonight. All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Eric. Well, Notre Dame's National Junior ROTC.
The news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And I guess a little time warp there. It actually is 2024. Good morning, and thanks for joining us this half hour. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
A lot to get to this half hour, but we want to start with a check of the forecast. You saw the Cab V Tower Cam shaking and really wet, so it is rainy, it is windy, so batten down the hatches.
Yeah, that's right. You can probably hear the wind even up here in our microphones on Smith Hill. Winds strong, rainfall starting to get a bit more widespread. Let's take a look at those wind speeds right now. About an hour or so ago, we actually had sustained wind over 20 miles per hour in Rome, but you can see that most of New York State already over 10 mile per hour winds, 20 mile per hour winds in some locations, and wind gusts today could reach as high as 50 miles per hour. And this is an easterly wind. This is not a typical westerly wind we see in central New York. So if you're driving eastbound along I-90, for example, you'll be driving into the strong winds. The winds will be on the backside of your vehicle if you are heading west. Around the state, those temperatures in the 40s with rain showers slowly moving in, and you can see that widespread rain taking place in the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. And we got a nice surge of moisture coming in from the south, keeping that rain pretty consistent. And there could be potential for some minor flooding in poor drainage areas with this event. So again, we got wind, we got rain today. Then tonight, that switched over to a wintry mix in higher elevations. Then overnight into the lower elevations, seeing that wet snow wintry mixture. Then following that, Thursday begins to dry out a little bit with a few scattered rain and snow showers. But overall, the highest impact to travel will be tonight. And in the early morning hours tomorrow. Of course, we're going to time it all out and talk about that in our full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. Well, new this morning,
Welcome back. The time now is 6:41. Of course, it's time to showcase our weather photo of the day on this Wednesday. And after a beautiful sunrise yesterday, couldn't pass up showcasing this photo submitted to us in Madison County at Leland Pond. A beautiful shot of that morning sunrise. Lots of very bright yellows, oranges, reds, and even some purples there. We saw that nice sunrise here on Smith Hill yesterday. Unfortunately today, though, we're not going to be seeing anything like that, just more clouds and rain. Hopefully we get a lot better chances for seeing those colorful sunrises in the next few days. But if you want to submit a photo like this one, send it to the link on the top of your screen at wktv.com/weather/pics. Those current temperatures this morning are in the 30s and 40s. A bit cool, also a bit windy out there with widespread rain still moving in from the south. And regarding those temperatures, even though we're cool for today, Thursday, and Friday, we rebound a little bit back to more spring and April-like conditions with Sunday and Monday with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Steve?
All right, so definitely a mixed bag coming over the next few days. Thanks a lot, Eric. Well, the countdown continues to the solar eclipse.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. This Wednesday, starting out, as you notice in the Cavity Tower camera, very windy, especially in the valley locations. A strong easterly wind, along with widespread rainfall developing over much of the day today. A live look at downtown Utica from our camera in the Nexus Center. Traffic picking up as the morning rush hour begins to take place, and still the roads a little bit wet out there, but no real travel impacts are expected aside from ponding on roadways and, of course, the potential for high-profile vehicles to have issues with the strong winds today. Other than that, though, we're looking at pretty average weather by April standards here in central New York regarding that rainfall. Bigger picture, we've got low pressure out to the west. This is influencing our local area here, bringing in that surge of moisture from the south. All that rain down in parts of northern, or at least northeastern West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania is going to be reaching central New York throughout the day today. And we remain above freezing, with the rain and wind being the primary travel impacts for today and this afternoon, with the actual travel impacts regarding wintry mix and snow arriving this evening and tonight, primarily in hilltops for this evening, and the hilltops being the Hamilton County, possibly Herkimer County region, seeing that sleet mix in. Overnight, cool air moves through central New York, and we eventually see a more widespread wet snow mixture with sleet as well. Throughout the day today, temperatures hovering in the upper 30s to low 40s, but take a look at these winds. Sustained wind speeds of around 20 to 25 miles per hour, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., the windiest time of the day today, wind speeds nearing 30 miles per hour sustained. And along with that, too, the wind gusts will be strong as well. Wind gusts as high as 50 or so miles per hour throughout parts of our local areas. So heads up for that. It's temporary, though. Following that, the winds do eventually diminish by tomorrow. But to our skycast, you can see here, rain throughout the entire day today, lowest elevations remaining as rain. Then between 5 and 9 p.m., that's when things gradually switch over. The sun sets and that cool air moves in. Overnight, best chance for tricky travel will be across the area heading into around 6 a.m. onwards. Following that, though, we do eventually see much less snowfall, at least turn to snowfall rates, as Thursday afternoon approaches, a few spotty light rain and snow showers. No real changes to our snowfall forecast. We've kept at the same amount for the past few days. We're expecting lowest elevations in the valleys and, of course, higher totals in those higher elevations in Hamilton, northern Fulton County, and parts of Herkimer County. Over the next 12 hours, temperatures in the 30s with widespread steady rainfall tonight. We fall down into the low 30s with rain switching over to a wintry mix and eventually wet snow. 7-day forecast. The worst of the travel impacts will be this, at least tonight, in the higher elevations, then around 9-10 p.m. in the lower elevations, lingering into early tomorrow morning. Then things improved pretty much tremendously, with just a few light snow showers taking place Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening.
All right, so a mixed bag coming the next few days, and holding out hope that that Monday will be okay to watch.
Fingers crossed for that.
All right, we'll have to update as we go along. Thanks a lot, Eric. Well, the time now is 6:52, still ahead on Sunrise.
Now, The news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
We've got a lot to get to this morning. All of the world's eyes on Utica. Folks interested in women's hockey as the World Championships start in just about 4 hours from now.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a wild 12 days. Also wild right now is the weather. If you can hear the wind either through our microphones or if you look at the Cab V Tower cam or even from our Nexus camera, we were talking about this in the break. You can see the light poles sort of shaking in the back. Then the Adirondack Bank building has the flag pretty much pinned up there. It is windy, to say the least.
Yeah, understatement, it's windy out there right now. Sustained winds of 20 miles per hour in Rome. Let's take a look at those winds all across central New York early this morning. 21 miles per hour in Rome. A bit lighter up in Hamilton, but you can see here some of those valley locations, 20 or 17 miles per hour in Buffalo. So the windiest spot of at least upstate New York on some of these weather stations is officially at Griffiths and Rome. Currently 41 degrees. Of course, with those winds and rain, it probably doesn't feel quite like that. We've got a cold rain falling here this morning on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, and expect more and more of this throughout the day today. Moderate rainfall lingering throughout the morning, afternoon, and early evening in lower elevations, but in higher elevations, they'll start to see a changeover from rain to a wintry mix, then over to snow, as well as the lower elevations having that happen a little bit later on tonight. But for the next 12 hours, a heads up, we've got windy conditions, decent rainfall taking place. We're going to talk about that changeover from rain to a wintry mix, and when that does come to an end in that full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, thanks a lot, Eric. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. New this morning, a powerful...
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. This Wednesday, we're dealing with rain showers widespread, as well as very strong winds taking place early this morning. A live look at our Cab V Tower camera overlooking the Utica area. You can see the camera shaking a little bit. The winds are gusting pretty strong up here on Smith Hill. And the radar showing yet again widespread rain moving into the Mohawk Valley. A brief dry slot taking place in locations in the southern valleys between Norwich and Oneonta. This is, of course, part of a much larger system producing some snow out in the upper peninsula of Michigan and the areas of Wisconsin out to the west. Here locally, we're seeing the warm side of this system producing primarily rain initially, and it will stay as rain for today, at least for this morning and this afternoon. But this evening is when hilltops will start to see a snow mix in, or wintry mix into the higher elevations, and overnight tonight, that's when we'll see a lot more mixing in the lower elevations, especially by early tomorrow morning. We'll see a changeover to some wet snow. Temperatures only hovering right around the upper 30s to low 40s today. The main story, at least for the morning and early afternoon, going to be the winds. It's still blustery out there right now, but take a look at this right here. 1 to 5 p.m., wind speeds as high as 25 to 30 miles per hour. This is just sustained winds. As we look ahead to the wind gusts, they could be gusting as high as 55 miles per hour in the Mohawk Valley. So heads up, it's going to be a blustery day out there. If you drive a high-profile vehicle heading from east or west, north or south, you could be dealing with stronger wind gusts that could impact your travel. So heads up for that. Now to our Skycast. We're talking about rain this morning, rain this afternoon, and rain this evening. But you can see here in the higher elevations, wintry mix will start to develop, produce some icy, slick spots on those hilltops. 5 p.m., still looking at a mainly rain event here, but between 5 and 9 p.m., we'll start to see that gradual switch over into snow showers overnight, with lows falling right around freezing. And then following this, Thursday afternoon, at least Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon, we'll see that snowfall gradually weakening as that low pressure, the coastal low, continues to push more and more out to the Atlantic. No real changes to our snowfall forecast. We're keeping the same as we had the past few days. Valley locations a lot less. This is an elevation-based system, so higher elevations up north will see a lot more, especially in Hamilton County. Next 12 hours, we're talking about temperatures in the 30s and 40s with widespread rain tonight. A changeover from rain to a wintry mix, eventually wet, clumpy snow. 7-day forecast remaining pretty unsettled for the next few days, but the worst of the travel impacts end by Thursday morning.
Rob was mentioning, overnight winds caused some damage around our area. This is State Route 29 just north of Fairfield. Rather large tree blown across a busy roadway. It not only blocked traffic, but you also see it pulled down utility lines as well. The traffic was rerouted between Hardscrabble Road and Route 170. National Grid at this moment reporting 133 people without power in Herkimer County. Over 800, meanwhile, in Oneida County. Right now, the estimate for power restoration is 4 o'clock this afternoon. So if you're without power, the hope is that it will be back on at some point this afternoon. Want to bring in meteorologist Eric Gage now. And we were talking about the winds this morning. Obviously, those big gusts, but even the sustained wind numbers were pretty high.
Yeah, and even at noontime right now, those numbers are ridiculous. In parts of Rome right now, let's take a look at those live wind conditions. It's 28 mile per hour sustained wind. This is not including wind gusts, 31 miles per hour out in Rome. This is a very strong wind. We've got a strong system to our west as it transfers energy to a nor'easter to the east. So in that process, it's bringing in all these winds here locally in central New York. And those temperatures cooling down a few degrees, currently 37 in Hamilton, 37 degrees in Rome. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. As expected, all the lower elevations are remaining as rain. Maybe just a few spots of ice mixing in the highest hilltops areas west, but areas east are starting to see a little bit of a mixture as we take a look at the Mesna camera networks. One thing to note too is down here in Springfield, a bit hard to see on the cameras right there, but there is sleet falling in some spots in the highest elevations, currently over 1,400 feet in Otsego County. But again, most of the rest of the lower elevations are remaining on the rainy side. Next 12 hours, temperature still hovering in the mid to upper 30s. We can see here later on this evening and tonight, we'll start to see that rain switch over to a wintry mix, sleet, eventually some wet snow before things do quiet down a little bit tomorrow. But we've got more light snow and rain showers on the way. We'll talk about that in detail straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. Rescue efforts continuing at this.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing to track windy conditions as well as widespread rain, even some sleet mixing in a little bit in some higher elevations, even going as far in lower elevations as Utica. A live look at downtown Utica. You probably can pick up in my microphone. The wind is whipping way up here on Smith Hill and Deerfield, as you saw in the Cavy Tower camera. Even on the Nexus camera, looking at downtown Utica, the lights are swaying back and forth. The American flags in the background are waving very fast. And a live look at the radar. Well, so far we are seeing plenty of rain showers in lower elevations as you head up to the hilltops, especially areas out to the east. That's where some mixing is taking place. Even though you could see some sleet mix in the lowest elevations already, it's going to be too warm near the surface to cause any accumulation. But there is accumulation in parts of northern Otsego County in Springfield. Just a heads up for that. The lowest elevations, again, looking pretty quiet. The bigger picture, we got a massive storm system right here. Look at how strong some of these rain bands are. Wraparound snow showers along that west side and to the south. Additional rain will continue to move in as that strong southeastern wind continues to push through parts of central New York. Our impacts for this evening and tonight. Hilltop snow mix this evening, wet snow mix over pretty much all of central New York during the overnight hours. The snow winds down by tomorrow morning, and then by tomorrow afternoon, just a few stray light snow showers. This will not be a long duration, very impactful event, at least on the roads. This will primarily only affect the overnight hours tonight. Temperature still struggling to remain in the upper 30s right now, currently 36 degrees. Warming up maybe 1 or 2 more degrees this afternoon. Winds remaining very strong. Sustained winds nearing 30 miles per hour in parts of the valley between 1 and 5 p.m. today. And you're also factoring in those wind gusts. We're talking about wind gusts as high as 55 miles per hour. So another very windy day today. And you can see here the rain has been moving in. A bit of a dry slot briefly this afternoon before more rain arrives again this evening and tonight. And that's when that cold air moves in and temperatures will fall, causing the rain to turn over to sleet, wintry mix, and eventually some snow showers. And with that rain near the surface and that warm air, it's going to be a very difficult time for any snow to stick in the lowest elevations. We're still sticking to the 1 to 3 inches of snow expected for the Mohawk Valley, with 3 to 6 possible in the highest elevations. Most of the snow, if anything, would be falling in the Hamilton, Herkimer County area. Your 7-day forecast, it's still breezy, it's windy, and it's raining out, and it will remain a bit on the unsettled side for tomorrow, Friday, and the early start of Saturday. But following that, things do dry out by Sunday and Monday. Steve?
All right, thanks a lot, Eric. Well, big news for Buffalo Bills fans, and it's April, and just when you think snowstorms may be over, this right here is what it looks like in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and this is all part of the same system that we're seeing right now, although we're seeing more of that rainy side.
A little warmer here,
Yeah, a little warmer here. And let's take a look at where it is on the radar. This is a massive storm system that's eclipsing from all the way as far east as Boston to, as Steve mentioned, as far west as Wisconsin. And you can see that snow band right there on the radar. That's on the backside, currently just outside Chicago. And you can see the giant low pressure here, and we're on the warm side where we're starting to see that rain, a bit of a dry slot following this, with more rain approaching from the southwest. And more locally, you can see that we're still seeing rain and the dry slot approaching within the next hour or so, but you're probably looking out your window hearing ice pellets hit your window and just everywhere in general, and it's because we're taking a look at the sleet line right here. Correlation coefficient, the lighter yellows and oranges indicate where the sleet line is. The darker maroons indicate where the rain is falling. You can see that sleet line moving as far south as Oneonta, going right up to parts of Little Falls up north near Speculator, where some accumulation of ice is occurring in parts of northern Otsego County. Well, where's your trash can? Well, it's probably way down the street beyond your neighbor's yard. It's still very windy out there right now. Wind speeds still sustained at roughly 20 to 25 miles per hour. Out west near Rochester, 31 miles per hour. And over the next 12 hours, blustery conditions with rain showers mixing in with potentially some ice here and there, but only accumulations are expected to happen in the lower elevations until the overnight hours tonight. We're going to talk about that, the potential travel impacts, and when this all begins to wind down straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. The former St. Mary's Church
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. It's a blustery day out there today with temperatures still in the 30s and 40s over a lot of central New York. And a live look at downtown Utica at this point. The winds are gusting. There is some sleet mixing in some locations as well, but there's still too much warm air directly above the surface to prevent any accumulation on those roadways in the Mohawk Valley. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We are seeing some sleet mixing in the higher elevations, even parts of Herkimer County in the lower elevations, but it's only really sticking to those hilltops north of 1,400 feet up near Old Forge, and of course down in parts of Springfield and Otsego County. We're going to see a little bit of a dry slot this afternoon before things begin to get a little bit more busy again this evening and tonight. And of course, the bigger picture, widespread rain and snow from all across parts of the Northeast and northern Midwest as this low pressure system continues to move through the northern United States. Travel impacts this evening. Hilltop snow mix overnight, wet snow mixture over pretty much most of central New York. That looks to be the highest chance of any impacts to travel. Tomorrow morning, snow begins to wind down. Still some side roads could be a little bit slick. And then by tomorrow afternoon, aside from just stray light snow showers, the worst of this will be pretty much over. It's a temporary thing we'll be dealing with later on this evening and tonight. Winds, though, still remaining pretty dominant over a lot of the area. Sustained winds nearing 30 miles per hour in some spots already. Some spots at 20 to 25 miles per hour. Gusts as high as 55 miles per hour expected this afternoon. So again, it's still going to be very windy out there. I would recommend strapping down some things that are loosely pushed around, for example, such as garbage cans. Of course, for a lot of you who are asking, of course, it's trash day on the windiest day of the week. Skycast showing rain showers mixing in with sleet and freezing rain later on this evening and tonight. Again, in the highest elevations, that cold air begins to work its way into central New York overnight tonight. and we'll start to see that rain switch over to snow showers heading into early tomorrow morning. But as you can see here, the snowfall rates begin to wind down by tomorrow afternoon, only with a few scattered snow showers lingering throughout the day, light in nature, as we could see even some rain mix in areas south and east. And no changes still to our snowfall forecast. It's going to be very hard for snow to stick around in the lowest elevations with all that warm air trapped near the surface and wet roads. But the hilltops north have a best chance of seeing accumulation in the red zone in parts of Hamilton County and Herkimer County. 7-day forecast, 30s for the highs. The next few days, we warm up into the 40s as we head into Saturday and Sunday. And beyond that, we've got, after several days of unsettled weather, we've got sunshine moving in Sunday and into Monday with highs approaching near 60. And we got a very special guest returning. Some of you have missed him for a short while.
All of us have.
All of us have. Welcome back, Gary.
Welcome back, Gary. So fill us in. So Gary went out for surgery and he's in the middle of recuperating.
Recuperating with my cane. I'm doing pretty well. 3 weeks in and working behind the scenes here this week.
Yes, appreciate that.
Yeah, next week, try to do the noon.
Okay,
give me some relief. And maybe the week after that, try to do the morning show. Just a gradual get back to it.
So how are you feeling? That's the most important thing.
The hip's doing good.
Okay.
Walking well. The hard part, and I know a lot of you out there who have had hip replacement know this, that sleeping is difficult.
Right.
It's been so hard. I can't sleep more than an hour or two at a time. I just keep waking up because of the pain. I can't sleep on my side, so I got to sleep on my back, which
you're not used to doing.
Right. Yeah, I can't either. So I can't imagine not being able to sleep, especially for a few hours at a time.
Yeah.
That's very difficult.
But we're getting there.
Yeah, well, and we talked off there, you know, it's tough to, because it's a gradual process. You have to be patient, and you were in pain for so long that you can't wait to be completely pain-free. Now you've had the surgery, and it's just, you want it to happen yesterday.
Yeah, and the big question people have is, are you happy you had it? Not yet.
Not yet.
The pain now is still worse than what it was before, but hopefully it'll get better in the next few weeks.
Well, that is the hope, and it's always good to have you around, and we'll see you back here or there, wherever we end up having you as you continue your recuperation. But always great to have you here in the building and helping out.
Great
Much
to see
appreciated.
you guys, too.
Good to see you too, and continued on the road to recovery. And we will be back. Where am I going? Oh no, we have a story right
today. Almost 11,000 homes and businesses in Oneida County are in the dark right now. Utica, New Hartford, Deerfield, and the city of Rome, predominantly the hardest hit. National Grid was estimating power restoration between now and midnight, depending on location. Of course, the cause of the outages, downed wires. There are trees down all over Oneida County. Let's get the very latest with Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Highly localized damaging winds right in the Mohawk Valley today. The wind gusts measured from Rome, incredible, 64 miles an hour. This damaging wind is going to subside as we head into tonight. Let's take a look at some of these numbers here. Again, the highest wind gusts, 64. This was measured at 2:21 in the afternoon by Rome ASAW. So it's unofficial, but we're going to go with it because, again, we can confirm this just based on the damage reports, and many of you have been experiencing this too. 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Brookfield, West Berlin, 46 miles an hour. Once you get outside the Mohawk Valley, the winds were not as bad. So it was a very localized effect. And again, this wind is going to be subsiding as we head into tonight. In fact, you can look at some of the other weather stations around. Syracuse, Albany, not even reporting wind gusts. That has to be over about 15 miles an hour for them to do that. So the winds are much, much lighter to our west. And so there is good news there. Now, moving forward, we're tracking wintry mix tonight. We have a winter weather advisory in effect. This area of precipitation is a combination of rain and sleet, and this is going to turn over to snow as we head into tonight. So the craziness does not come into an end anytime soon. In fact, we even heard some rumbles of thunder with this batch of precipitation moving through. So tonight, again, watch out on the roads. The winds are going to still stick around. We've got that wintry mix here overnight. We're taking a look at how much snow falls tonight, what the morning commute looks like, and that's coming up. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. The anticipation is over. The women's
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Intense winds today will be calming down as we head into tonight. The winds are not going to go away, but they are not expected to be as intense as we head towards sunset and beyond. This is a look at estimated wind gusts here overnight. We can still see gusts over 40 miles an hour, so it's still going to be windy through about midnight or so. And again, still windy overnight, but the numbers come down. You can see we'll see wind gusts diminish below 30 miles an hour overnight. The winds will be back tomorrow, but they're not going to be as strong as today. Our peak wind gusts measured in Griffith and Rome, 64 miles an hour. That took place at 2:21 this afternoon. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We're looking at widespread precipitation. It's not all rain here. There's rain, there's some sleet mixing in, there's also some snow. So we'll call it a wintry mix as we head into tonight. What's happening is cold air is starting to get involved as a nor'easter develops to the south, and that's going to wrap in some cold air aloft and create a general changeover to snow as we head into tonight. The good news is that aside from the wind, if you're traveling, the roads are generally wet. But again, hold on to the steering wheel. That wind is really intense, especially in the Mohawk Valley. Live look in downtown Utica, again, a temperature of 38. The winds, again, very localized to the Mohawk Valley. Once you get out of the Mohawk Valley, it's still windy, just not as strong as what's taking place in the valley. Looking at some of our local temperatures, again, we're above freezing. Dolgeville, 37 degrees. Lake Pleasant, 33. Westernville, 42. Westmoreland, 39. Across the Southern Valleys, Cooperstown, 37. Oneonta, 36. And Unadilla with 39. A nor'easter is developing to the south, and that's going to be the main show for us locally in terms of a continuation of precipitation. This is going to become heavier tonight as this low develops and transfers its energy to the east. And again, we're looking at a widespread wintry mix turning over to snow tonight. By 11 p.m., most of us are seeing some steady snowfall. This will continue into tomorrow morning. The morning commute could be a slippery for a few spots early, but snow showers will become much lighter, will climb above freezing, and that generally leads to wet roads. So I think conditions will improve and the evening commute should be fine. Looking at a few lingering snow showers as we head into tomorrow night, as well as Friday. It stays breezy here throughout the next several days. Snowfall tonight, no big changes here. Still thinking 1 to 3 inches of accumulation for the Mohawk Valley. 3 to 6 inches expected along the hilltops. There are some signs that more of Otsego and Shenango County will see less snowfall. There's the only change made to the map here tonight. But again, still thinking of the general totals here of 1 to 3 inches in the valley, 3 to 6 inches in the hilltops. So wintry mix tonight, low of 33 tomorrow. The winds become lighter. Snow and rain showers, 38 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Clouds linger through Saturday, 44. We see some sunshine returning late Sunday, and things still look good for the eclipse. Looking at partly sunny skies, temperatures in the upper 50s. Rain showers on Tuesday. It looks a lot warmer here heading into next week.
We're going to keep an eye on those power outages. The number, unfortunately, continues to climb at this hour as the wind continues to be quite strong. Bill, thank you. Staying on the story, Congressman Brandon Williams says the federal office building in Utica staged. We have Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Yeah, we saw strong winds today across the Mohawk Valley. It's very localized, but ASOS at Griffith and Rome measured a peak wind gust of 64 miles an hour. If this ends up being confirmed, it would be the second fastest wind speed measured since ASOS moved to Griffith and Rome. That happened back in 2008. The fastest wind speed recorded 67 miles an hour on July 20th of 2013. That was associated with a severe thunderstorm. As we look at part of the reason why this mainly happened in the Mohawk Valley, it has to do with the terrain. With the winds coming in from the east, what ends up happening is the wind gets squeezed into the Mohawk Valley. We call this funneling, and since air behaves like a fluid, when it gets pinched into one spot, it has nowhere else to go but fast. It accelerates in order to maintain what we would consider mass, and that happens to be the Mohawk Valley, explaining why it was so much faster in that local area compared to the surrounding hilltops. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We're not done. We're tracking some rain and snow as we head into tonight with some accumulation here too. We've got to look at the latest snowfall forecast coming out. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Countdown to the total
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Strong winds in the Mohawk Valley will gradually weaken heading into tonight. The worst of it is over the next couple of hours before we will see slowly improving conditions in that department. But while we're seeing less wind, we'll be seeing more of a mix of wintry precipitation heading into tonight. So live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. This is going to fall as a combination of rain, sleet, and snow. The general idea is this turns over to snow heading past midnight tonight. Road conditions will be slippery, but I think that's going to be late tonight. We'll be above freezing through a lot of this, which helps out a lot in terms of travel. A lot of this sleet and or snow will be melting before it has any significant impacts on the roads, but that will change well after midnight. This is, again, a look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Waves of precipitation will be moving in from the south as a nor'easter develops. Current temperature 37 degrees. We've had a combination of sleet and rain today across the Mohawk Valley, but the big story has been the wind. A very intense local wind event taking place in the Mohawk Valley with wind gusts over 50 miles an hour. Notice that the wind gusts do not extend west or east, and as we head into tonight, the winds will be slowly subsiding. It will still be windy overnight, but wind gusts will be capped at about 35 miles an hour tonight and for most of tomorrow, which is, again, less than what we've been experiencing today. Dolgeville, 37 degrees, Little Falls, 39. Temperatures, again, above freezing across the area. It will generally be above freezing through tonight and tomorrow. So you look at the radar and satellite image. We're watching to the south. An area of low pressure will be developing, and that'll move up the Atlantic coast. That'll cause the wind direction to turn into the north and, again, turn precipitation over to snow. A wintry mix tonight, switching over to snow after midnight. Temperatures remain above freezing. Snow first thing tomorrow morning. A few slippery spots through about daybreak, but as temperatures climb above freezing, any snow issues will be the snow will not be sticking to the roads during the day as we're in the upper 30s, and then just some on and off snow showers heading into tomorrow night. A general 1 to 3 inches of accumulation is expected in the lower elevations, 3 to 6 inches expected overnight in the hilltop locations. Quick update for the solar eclipse. Cloud cover continues to look encouraging. We're optimistic that we're looking at partly sunny skies. Any clouds that do spill in so far have been in the upper levels. High clouds are thin and generally transparent, so we don't have anything to be worried about at this point. But again, we're going to continue to watch it as we are 5 days out. Wintry mix tonight down to 33. Tomorrow, snow showers, rain showers. Windy, but not as windy as today. A high of 38. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The weather gradually improves and warms up as we head into the next 7 days. 54 on Sunday, partly sunny skies. Again, partly sunny on Monday, close to 60. And it's looking warmer and more spring-like heading into next week. Highs in the low to mid-60s Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Palace.
Thanks for joining us as the city of Utica rolls out the welcome mat for thousands of hockey fans and 10 nations.
It is the Women's World Championship, and we have live team coverage tonight. But first, we are keeping an eye to the sky. We've been watching the numbers all day. At its peak, almost 11,000 homes and businesses in Oneida County were without power. Utica, New Hartford, Rome, and Deerfield being the hardest hit. That number is now 7,400. National Grid was estimating power to be restored between now and midnight, depending on location, of course, the cause of the power outages, downed wires, downed trees all over Oneida County. Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis is tracking from the Weather Center what we can expect.
Yeah, we've been following the winds here all day. It was very, very localized where we saw the highest wind gusts. Take a look at the dramatic difference here. Griffiths at 2:21 this afternoon measured a wind gust of 64 miles an hour from the ASOS weather station located, again, in Griffiths. It's unconfirmed, but again, that's the data that we're getting. Wind gusts from Brookfield to West Berlin for the New York State Mesonet were between about 45 to 50 miles an hour. And just, again, based on some of the damage and the power outages we've been seeing, again, very believable to see some of these higher numbers here on the high end. But again, it's really important to stress out it's been localized, and as we go forward, the really strong winds will be gradually subsiding. We're not going to be seeing the intensity of the wind tonight. It still will remain windy, though, with wind gusts between 30 to 35 miles an hour. And of course, we're also tracking snow, which will be taking place tonight as we see a wintry mix between rain and sleet change over to snow overnight. There will be some accumulation here in a couple of slippery spots into tomorrow morning. We've got to look at the latest snowfall forecast and also an early idea on cloud cover for the solar eclipse, and that's coming up. Kristen, back to you.
2 games in and one big one.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're continuing to track some strong winds over the next couple of hours, but looking ahead, the winds will become lighter tonight. It's still windy tonight, but the damaging part will be over. Wind gusts between about 25 to 35 miles an hour tonight, and we do expect more wind tomorrow, Friday, and into early Saturday, but again, it will be less than what we are dealing with today. That 64-mile-an-hour wind gust, the unofficial measurement at Griffis, it happened at 2:21 by ASOS, would make it the second fastest wind speed recorded since the ASOS station moved to Griffis and Rome in 2008. The number 1 wind speed measured was thunderstorm related. That happened on July 20th of 2013 with a severe storm moving right over the ASOS station. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We're seeing a transition from rain over to snow, and we're also seeing some sleet mixing in too. So the roads will be generally wet tonight with temperatures above freezing. Even though we will be seeing a mix of some sleet and snow, it will take time for any of that to stick to the roads. Again, as temperatures remain above freezing throughout midnight. A nor'easter is developing, and that will be moving into the region as we head into tonight. Current temperature is 38 degrees in downtown Utica. Again, temperatures are generally above freezing in the mid to upper 30s across central New York. Low pressure again develops overnight. That's going to turn the wind direction and cause that changeover to take place. That wintry mix turns over to snow after midnight. Temperatures will drop into the low 30s overnight. A few slippery spots early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., widespread steady snowfall. That comes to an end. We'll be seeing some snow showers in the afternoon, but because temperatures climb above freezing pretty quickly, anything that's on the roads will be melting. So we're not expecting a major impact in terms of travel. But again, a few slippery spots in the morning. A general 1 to 3 inches of snowfall accumulation is expected for most areas overnight. That includes the Mohawk Valley and southern valleys. The hilltop locations are still expecting that elevated snowfall, 3 to 6 inches accumulation in the North Country, and again, some of the higher spots across the southern part of our area. It's still expected to produce more than 6 inches of snow in the Adirondacks. Looking ahead to Monday, we've been keeping a close eye on this, of course, with the solar eclipse moving through our area. We've been focused on cloud cover, and right now we may see a few high clouds. That's what's showing up here on our computer models. But the weather does look dry, and it looks a lot warmer, and we're hoping for good weather here on Monday. Tonight, a wintry mix, a low of 33. Tomorrow, a few slippery spots in the morning, snow and rain showers in the afternoon. At least during the day, we're not expecting much accumulation, a high of 38. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast, clouds, breezy, windy conditions at times. Friday, we get a chance to dry out. Saturday, the weather starts to clear out as high pressure arrives Sunday. And again, things look good for Monday. And a lot warmer, too. Temperatures will be in the 60s looking ahead to Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, Bill, thank you. Still to come here on News Channel 2 at 6, we go inside championship.
News with Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Those winds are something else tonight. Trees down, limbs down, wires down, power outages everywhere. I want you to check this out. Part of the roof of old Spilka's blew off. I would imagine with all the wind that we saw, there were a number of roofs that were blown off in the viewing area. Fortunately, nobody was hurt here. But check this out, a narrow escape today with a flying trampoline. Watch, here it comes right in front of the car. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. That's at Sunset and Roosevelt in Utica. The wind wreaking havoc. Over 6,000 without power in Oneida County, 3,000 in Herkimer County, over 800 in Otsego County. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. That's some scary stuff when you see something that big fly in front of your car.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're lucky nobody got seriously hurt today. We're thankful for that. We're not done yet. The winds are going to continue tonight. They're not going to be as strong as they were this afternoon, but they're still going to be strong. So just important to differentiate between the two. We're thinking the wind gusts tonight will be close to about 40 miles an hour. Today we saw wind gusts over 50 miles an hour. In fact, Griffiths and Rome had a wind gust that was measured at the ASOS station of 64 miles an hour at about 20 after 2 today. But that was one of the higher spots. Most areas had wind gusts between about 40 to 50 miles an hour. This is from the New York State Mesonet. The winds are still gusty out there tonight. Rome measuring a 31-mile-an-hour gust over the past hour, so the numbers have come down. Our focus is now on some slippery weather tonight. We've got sleet, some pockets of freezing rain, and some snow that's going to be taking place overnight. This transitions over to snow by tomorrow morning, and there will be some slippery spots to be had for the morning commute. We'll have that wintry mix continue tonight. We're looking at snowfall totals and when the winds will subside. A look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. The moment hockey fans.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. I want to start by talking about the winds. That's been the big story so far with this nor'easter. It's a very strong winds earlier today, and it's still windy out there. The winds are going to gradually subside as we head into tonight. They're not going to go away. Plan on a windy night, but it won't be as loud later tonight as it is now. Wind gusts still getting up to about 35 to 40 miles an hour. That's down from earlier today. We saw wind gusts between 45 to 50 miles an hour. In fact, a peak wind gust at Griffiths and Rome of 64 miles an hour recorded by ASOS. That's unofficial, but if this ends up being legitimate, it would be the second fastest wind speed recorded since the ASOS moved to Griffiths and Rome, which happened in 2008. The number one wind speed measured was the fastest wind speed measured in a thunderstorm on July 20th, 2013 of 67 miles an hour. Now, live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. There's a lot going on tonight, but we're starting to see a trend from some of that cold air starting to work in. A transition over to snow is going to take place tonight. We'll be getting some sleet mixing in, even pockets of freezing rain. But again, as that cold air starts to win the battle, the snow is expected to occur everywhere as we head into tonight. Live look in downtown Utica, 35 degrees. Slippery travel is expected tonight. While we're not expecting a lot of snow, it's going to make things a little bit slippery for the morning commute. Nor'easters in the process of developing that'll head up the coast tonight and bring some steady snow to New England as we head into tomorrow. Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, again, a transition over to snow overnight. Widespread light snow for tomorrow morning. Some slippery spots for the morning drive, especially east of Utica. But in general, the weather not looking too bad in the afternoon. Generally wet roads, temperatures in the upper 30s. Some on and off light snow showers. Things start to quiet down. It's still windy tomorrow, but again, not as windy as today. On and off snow showers will continue tomorrow night and into Friday. Calling for 1 to 3 inches of snowfall accumulation for the Mohawk Valley. The Hilltop location is expecting 3 to 6 inches of accumulation for tonight and into early tomorrow. Looking ahead to the solar eclipse, it still looks favorable for sky conditions locally, high pressure and control. This is a look at the path of totality overlaid with some of our computer models for cloud cover. These are high clouds that are showing up on the computer models. High clouds are thinner and more transparent, and right now it still looks like it's okay for viewing. If anything changes, we'll keep you posted. Wintry mix tonight, low of 33. Tomorrow, snow, rain showers, 38 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The weather slowly improves, and we might luck out. Sunday, sunshine. Monday, again, partly sunny skies expected, fingers crossed. The next weather system moves in on Tuesday, brings in a few rain showers, but it does get a lot warmer. Temperatures look to climb into the 60s heading into next week.
I could take some 60s. How about you?
That'll be nice. Yeah.
Get out and do some yard work
Yeah.
in the mud.
A lot of cleaning up to do.
It's going to be,
Yeah.
yeah, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Bill. Coming up next.
News with Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Those winds were something else today and tonight. Trees down, limbs down, power outages everywhere. Check this out. Part of the roof at the old Spilkas in Utica blew off. I would imagine all the wind we saw there were a number of roofs that were blown off in the viewing area. Nobody hurt. This is on the corner of Noyes and the Arterial in Utica. And then check this out. A narrow escape today with a flying trampoline at the corner of Sunset and Roosevelt in Utica. Whoa! Imagine seeing that in front of your car. Over 6,000 without power still in Oneida County, over 3,000 in Herkimer County, over 800 in Otsego County. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. You've had a busy time in the Weather Center today, along with everything else going on.
Yeah.
We saw some gusts that we don't normally see here almost ever.
Yeah, the winds were very intense, and it was only in a very small area in the Mohawk Valley. We had something called funneling, where the wind was squeezed into the Mohawk Valley.
Wow.
And here's a look at some of the wind gusts here from that. We had the highest gust, Griffiths and Rome, 20 after 2 this afternoon, 64 miles an hour from the ASAW station. That's calibrated by the National Weather Service. New York State Mesonet, wind gusts 45 to 50 miles an hour. Again, widespread wind gusts. That was earlier today. It's been windy since then, but the numbers have come down, and they'll continue to come down tonight. The latest wind gust in Rome is 26 miles an hour. And again, it's still windy out there, but we're not expecting that same level of intensity for the rest of the night that we saw earlier today. What we are seeing is a return to some snow as colder air works in on the backside of a developing nor'easter. We're expecting widespread steady snow to take place tonight, some accumulation and some tricky travel very early tomorrow morning as temperatures drop into the low 30s. We're tracking snowfall totals as we head into tomorrow, along with an early idea of how the eclipse forecast is looking locally, and that's coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. The moment we've all been waiting.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Strong winds earlier today will gradually become later tonight. Still going to be a windy night. Wind gusts over the next couple of hours will be close to 40 miles an hour in the Mohawk Valley, but the numbers come down as we head into tomorrow. It'll be a windy day tomorrow, but we're thinking gusts will be about 30 to 35 miles an hour as opposed to 45 to 50 miles an hour that we saw today. In fact, Griffiths and Rome measured a wind gust at 2 o'clock, a little after 2 o'clock today, of 64 miles an hour from the ASAW station. That's the second fastest wind speed recorded since ASAWS moved to Griffiths and Rome. That was in 2008. The fastest wind speed, 67 miles an hour in a severe thunderstorm on July 20th of 2013. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's messy out there. Good night to stay home. If you do have to travel, do plan on some tricky travel. We're not getting a lot of snow in the Mohawk Valley and the lower elevations, but the hilltops are expecting at least 3 to 6 inches of accumulation. The nor'easter is continuing to develop, and that will impact our weather throughout tonight. Downtown Utica, the roads are wet. Temperatures 35 degrees, but again, conditions are expected to change tonight as this area of low pressure moves up the coast and off the coast of New England as we head into tomorrow. A general transition over to all snow tonight. If you're still seeing some sleet mixing in, that won't last for too much longer. By tomorrow morning, widespread steady snow. The morning commute could be a little tricky in the hilltops. The Mohawk Valley, generally okay. Roads are mostly wet. But again, give yourself a little bit of extra time to get to your destination. Snow becomes snow showers tomorrow afternoon. You can see temperatures will climb above freezing, so generally road conditions improve throughout the day. Heading into tomorrow night, some scattered snow showers. Breezy conditions continue as we head into Friday. 1 to 3 inches of snowfall expected in the lower elevations tonight. 3 to 6 inches of accumulation along the hilltops, again, heading into tomorrow morning. Quick look at the eclipse forecast. This line representing the path of totality, which cuts through a good portion of our northern area. The cloud cover forecast is looking promising. It still looks like skies are mostly clear. Some of the models are showing some high clouds on Monday afternoon, but those high clouds are generally thin and they don't block out the sun entirely. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Wintry mix tonight down to 33. Tomorrow, snow and rain showers, 38 for the high. It's still a windy day, again, just not as windy as today. Now the winds will continue into Friday and early Saturday before the weather begins to clear out. And again, right now things are still looking like they're on track for decent weather Monday. Again, we'll continue to keep you updated if anything changes.
60s next week.
It'll be nice and warm. Yeah.
Get out and clean up, right?
Yeah.
After this. All right, thanks, Bill. Coming up next, the founder of World Central.